What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Backstop Banter. Our little slice of the baseball world over here, Michael.
It's a little disappointing, what's all going on right now. As you guys know, we're locked out, and since MLB changed their whole Facebook or their whole pages and everything, where you can't find anything. I just got rid of my stuff too. I'm just going to go with it. Like they did it to myself. They got rid of all my Reds and everything. So with it being Christmas time, I got to move my head. I've got a tree up here. I've got some decorations going on. Kentucky basketball and football still going on. So I've got my drink going with a little Kentucky sports too. So it's a great time to be a Kentucky fan when it comes to basketball, even though everyone's under the weather. They said, speaking of weather, myself, recovering addict from COVID right now, so I may lose my breath.
I'm not sure that that's what you want to go with there, Michael.
No. Okay. Rebounding from the COVID, so if I get short-winded or speak a little faster, it's because I'm trying to get my breath in, so just bear with me. But Connie, how's it been going for you, man?
Oh, Michael, we're living the dream. My last day of classes is Monday. Before I start my winter class, of course, though. Because, God forbid my college actually scheduled me properly, so I'm not technically behind. But, listen, different problem, different day, I guess.
Understand.
And, work today, we're surviving. We're surviving, Michael.
Gotcha.
We are surviving. We haven't talked since Thanksgiving, though, Mike. How was Thanksgiving? I mean, you probably couldn't taste anything, but...
Honestly, Thanksgiving I could. It was 2 days after Thanksgiving that I couldn't. And I did find a thing on the TikTok where you can you put pressure right here and someone flips the back of your head, and then you put pressure on your tongue and they flip the back of your head, and my taste came back. My wife's it did for a minute, and then it went away, and my taste kind of stayed. So I've not had too much of the problem on the taste. Now, when it wasn't there, it was the craziest thing eating cold food. I felt like I was just basically eating liver. It was just nasty. And so I'm so thankful that I got my taste back. But Thanksgiving,
if I could get every part, I just need the no taste part of COVID. I don't need anything else. Because, listen, let me tell you, if I get no taste part of COVID, I'm going on the strictest diet ever. Brussels sprouts, green beans only.
You think that, because I said the same thing. It's if I had to lose my taste, I'll eat healthy. But it tastes so nasty. I felt like I was almost eating raw meat. It was just so weird when it was cold. Anything cold just tasted like it was just.
Well, don't eat it cold then. Warm it up.
I mean, it still was a weird feeling. So I'm very thankful that I got my taste back very quick.
All right. You know what, Michael? I say we do this. How about this?
I'm going to try to keep the app up so we can see comments.
Oh, no, I got that. Don't you worry. Don't you worry about nothing. Don't you worry about nothing. I was going to say, before we get depressed, Michael, and talk about the lockout and everything that goes into it, how about do some free agency?
That sounds good. Let's go with some free agencies.
Because,
sorry, I got my headset on.
We haven't talked about the
How was your Thanksgiving first?
Oh, it was all right. At home, just me and the parents. My nan was upstate, all up there in Albany with my cousin. So my other brother lives up there as well. So they were together. My middle brother, they went to his fiance's side. So we were chilling, Classic, a little turkey, which, by the way, terribly overrated. What? What's that face for?
Oh, no, I agree with you. Thanksgiving. I'm an obese guy. I know this.
Well, yeah, so don't get me wrong. It's the worst part of
Thanksgiving is the worst food. I hate Thanksgiving food. Give me the ham, the roast, the macaroni and cheese, and banana pudding, and you can have everything else.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on the Oh, look at this. I'm trying to find the proper free agency list, the one that actually is well thought out, and I think I finally found one.
Okay, I was going to say you may not find it on MLB.com right now.
No, nobody will find anything on MLB.com right now. But with that being said, Michael, let's jump into the free agency. And
let's go.
How about we go with Corey Seeger, one of the top free agents of this offseason. He has signed with the Rangers, a team that has been very, very active in this free agency. And, here's the weird thing, Michael, and I don't know if you kind of caught on to it as well. We're so used to certain teams spending a lot of money in free agency, and it hasn't been those teams. Like the Yankees haven't done anything. The Dodgers didn't do anything. The Red Sox haven't done anything. It's teams like the Seattle Mariners and the Mets and the Rangers and, teams of that nature. And I think the big thing about it is they have to. Like, you're in a situation where you have to because your team is not good.
Mm-hmm. Now, like, the Rangers definitely surprised me them making a move because
I didn't. That was something
one of the bottoms last year. But one thing we did look at. Sorry, catching my breath. As their attendance, even though compared to the record, their attendance last year was very well. So, seeing that they're making these moves, I think it's very important for them that you actually see that they're trying to make an effort. And also, I think it's because some of these teams have to make the effort now because of the lockout coming out. Like, hey, we got to get these guys signed quickly. That way we already got our ball rolling and we don't even have to worry about how long this lockout may be because, excuse me, we don't know how long it's going to be. And I just think even the Mariners making a big jump there. The Mets, I'm going to throw in this same category too, even though I feel like they're a high-caliber team. But getting their two aces that we have now, it shows that, hey, we're wanting to stay ahead of this wrecking ship that's coming. And so we have this to build on. So kudos to them. I love it, actually, just to see that there's more of a variance of teams that are wanting to try. And then here you are, me with a Reds fan that hasn't done a thing. Like, one notification I got today, it said the Reds have signed 5 minor league contracts. Woohoo! That's what we did before the lockout.
Well, I mean, listen, going into it, if you told me the Yankees didn't do anything by this point, I would have been shocked too. But, I mean, most the Yankees have done is sign Joely Rodriguez, some left-handed pitcher that they got in a trade last year, and then they tendered Gary Sanchez. But other than that, they haven't done anything. Obviously, there's some shortstops still out there on the market, and they're going to be on the market for quite a while. But back to the Rangers, I almost said Texans because I'm watching this football game right now.
Right.
But with that being said, they've spent more money.
Can you share your page?
You know what? I can share my page. Baseball is so fraud right now, Perry says in the color cast comments. Yes, people. We got listen, we're multifaceted over here, okay? So we got the Twitch going, the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and then throw on over to Colorcast as well. Download it, you go over, you go to the talk tab, you go to the bottom, you find open talk, and you see us. It's just the audio, no visual. So listen, if you think that we're ugly, which we're not, Michael, we're both handsome men.
That's right.
And you don't want to look at us, go over to the Colorcast. Feel free, people. Big things coming over there. But Michael, for you and the people that consume our show through the visuals, I will put this up on the screen if it'll. There we go. Zoom in a little bit. Aha. These are free agents that have signed at the moment.
Okay.
And as you can see, the point I was getting to, the Rangers, I believe this offseason already have spent like $560 million or something around 500.
It's over 500. I remember seeing it was over 500.
And Michael, are you aware that that's more money than they've spent on their payroll in the last 3 years?
Yes. It almost reminds me of the stat I seen with was it? Oh, shoot, who Tampa Bay signed their rookie?
Wander.
Yes, they signed him more. His contract equaled up to the last 3 years of their whole salary as well. I think it was of that 200 and so many million. Like last year's salary, I want to say it was 50 million. So that one player has been worth more than their 3 years of players, which is crazy. These two small market teams that are making these paydays, and it breaks my heart that Simeon is not going to be a Blue Jay next year. But you know what? We'll see what the Texans myself now that you said that. See what the Rangers are going to be doing next year. I mean, they're making noise. They're setting themselves up. They got a great middle infield right now.
They have the best middle infield in baseball now. Yeah, and I mean, just you already got to it, but Seeger, 10 years, $325 million. That's 32.5 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Still makes me cry. a tad bit, just a tad bit. And then Marcus Simeon, 7 years, 175 million overall, 25 million a year. And I think that's the one that shocked me a little bit, and not because of the money or anything like that. I cannot believe he got 7 years.
Oh, really?
I believe, I want to say he's a little bit older.
He's 31. It shows right on your screen there. 31.2. Yeah.
You know what? Where's? Oh, wow. It does say that. Anyway, because, in baseball, especially like baseball is so crazy, Phillies have also done nothing as well. You know what, Ben? Welcome to the welcome to that side of free agency. We got the Raiders.
And Phillies, I think, are a team that need to make noise. Like, they were good. Bryce just won the MVP. Sadly,
they're in the shortstop market, so
yeah. Hold on, Ben. Just hold on. Like, I think you guys are in a good situation, even though the lockout started. I think you all can make some noise. What's going on still? Wow, it's still like 14 times there.
But like I said, Simeon getting 7 years, right? Mm-hmm. He's 31 and what? 31.2 or whatever. So I assume that means he'll still be 31 at the start of the season, since it's not over a half. Baseball is a mess right now. Yes, it is. But the prime in baseball is usually your age is like 30, 34 season, like 30 to 33, 34. Mm-hmm. So that means you're getting three prime seasons out of him at best, out of a 7-year contract. And that's the weirdest thing about baseball too. And there's a great quote. I was listening. Michael, what was I listening to?
I'm sure it's the Michael K show.
It was the Michael K show. You're right. And he said, he had a quote from one of the agents, and a former GM said, listen, if you want to, stick to your guns and, your payroll and this, that, and third, you're always going to finish second and third. You have to be stupid sometimes. And that's what MLB teams do. I mean, 10-year contracts never work. They just don't. Like, when's the last time it actually has worked? Simeon, his 7 years, that deal isn't going to end up working. It's so weird that, like, they have to give them those years, and in the back of their head, they know that they're not going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they know it's going to happen. Because, listen, like, Simeon's deal.
I mean, you're even looking at...
He's 38.
Well, that's even with Corey there.
He's not going to be good.
In 10 years, he's going to be 28 or 38 pretty much. So, I mean, by the end of that contract, he is not going to be the best. At 38, I'm 35 and I'm struggling right now, okay?
Well, Michael, some of us are professional athletes. Some of us aren't.
Let's just say this. At the end of these 2 years, players' contracts,
they won't be on the team.
7 years. Right. Well, you don't think they'll even be able to? I mean, I agree.
I
was going to say, who do you think will have a better career, Simeon or Seeger?
Well, see, here's the thing, too. A lot of people around baseball hate the Seeger deal just because they don't think he's a shortstop. Because he's not he's a bad fielder.
Right.
And I mean, I know we have some Dodgers fans out here, but Seager's not the best fielder. Like, that's a thing across baseball that a lot of people think. So, I mean, I've heard, now, granted, this is a 10-year deal. Remember this.
Right.
That 3 years into the contract, they're going to move him from shortstop. So, I mean, it's crazy. But listen, if you become a free agent at the right time, you're going to make your money. I mean, and this was the time to become a free agent.
My goodness.
And then, you look, what you got, Michael?
I'm just looking at the money. I mean, $325 million for a guy. For a guy that, like you said, in 3 years, probably not even going to be playing the position that they're signing him for. He'll be a DH probably in 5 years.
Or a lot of people think they're going to put him at third.
I mean, third for probably some, but I bet you he'll end up being a DH. Because, I mean, you even said it yourself, he struggles to field. So, I mean, you're paying a man $300 million to DH. That blows my mind, but that's just the market, so that's fine. I am not saying no one deserves any dollar or anything like that. It's amazing to think of this much money just being signed to a checkout. 10 years, $300 million.
Casually, too. Javier Baez goes from the Mets to the Detroit Tigers, 6 years, $140 million. That's 23.3 annually. Yeah, I mean, the Tigers were in the shortstop market. And, a lot of the things, too, that you got to pay attention to is this takes certain teams out of the running for other players. So, obviously, we've named 3 players already, and everybody's going to notice that Carlos Correa and Trevor Story are still not signed. Now, it's pretty well known out there that Correa is the best available player from this free agency market. And that's teams off the market for him. So, in a way, I mean, it doesn't really affect him because he's going to get his money no matter what. He's too good to not get his money. It's not like he's a mid-level player or anything like that. He's the best shortstop in baseball, so he's getting paid. But it just depends on where he's going to go now because, the Tigers needed a shortstop. They have Javier Baez now. They're not going to sign him. The Rangers just spent $500 million on 2 players to fix up their infield. They're not signing him. The Dodgers are always in on somebody. It seems like every year they don't need a shortstop. So it kind of leaves, a few teams. I guess the Yankees and the Cubs are in on him. I mean, it doesn't matter now because nobody can be signed. But
are the Phillies looking for a shortstop too?
Yes, apparently. That's what I have heard.
Okay, that's what I was trying to think. I was going through my papers trying to find some of my notes.
But the hardest part about the Phillies too is they have Didi Gregorius on their team right now. He's just been awful, so they're looking for a shortstop. He's owed $14 million.
Right.
So what are you going to do? You're going to pay him $14 million and not play him. So that means you're going to have to trade him. But he's been terrible the last couple of years. So if you trade him, you're going to have to eat the money because no way a team is going to be there and say, yeah, don't worry, we'll take your awful player and his awful contract.
And really, the only person left past that is Freddie Galvez and Jose Iglesias as well. So, I mean, from Carlos, it's a big drop, I think, as far as who's left now.
Well, there's still Story.
Story's not signed yet either, too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So, I mean, you're down to 2 main guys as far as your shortstop, and Yankees are going to be on one of those. Are you hearing either one of them?
I mean, I've heard Correa more than Story. Just listening to like New York, radio and stuff and all the rumor mills and everything like that. But that's the other thing too is, and I get into arguments all the time on Instagram, Twitter with Yankee fans because it annoys me. I'm also not surprised if they don't sign a big time shortstop. Listen, I understand Brian Cashman came out and he said, we're signing a shortstop. We have to improve that position. But the top 2 Yankee prospects overall are shortstops. Anthony Volpe and there's somebody else. I can't remember his name. But Volpe just won the minor league player of the year. That they think that he's supposed to be the next great player. So what are you going to do? Are you going to landlock him? Right. You sign Correa to a 10-year contract. What do you do with him? Do you all of a sudden say, hey, Volpe, go get the third baseman mitt? Or, it depends because a lot of people think that Volpe and the other I got to look up his name because it's going to annoy the absolute hell out of me, are going to be ready not next year, but the year after. So you're kind of in the weird transition part of like, damn, we might not have a shortstop of this caliber available ever again, but we have a shortstop that we think is going to be fantastic.
Here's a little bit of a note just saying that some of the people that Cora's heard from is the Red Sox, Yankees, and of course the Dodgers, and they say that their desired match is $341 million, and that's matching Francisco Lindor. So I forgot about Boston even being on there.
Yeah, but why would Boston die? They have Xander Bogaerts.
You got me, but
somebody just second. I mean, I would assume that they would move. What's his name? Bogaerts and let Correa play short. I mean, Correa is an unbelievable fielder. I mean, he won a Gold Glove this year. Well, yeah, like even right here, top 10 Yankee prospects is Anthony Volpe. He's a shortstop, and Oswald Peraza, number 2, is a shortstop. So, like I said, their top 2 prospects are a shortstop. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but Correa's going to get his money. He's not worried.
Yeah.
And then I think we get into some big pitching names here. And we started off with Max Scherzer, and he kind of broke the market, to say the least. Michael, I said it on the show before Thanksgiving that the pitching market is unfreaking believable because everybody needs pitchers, and they're going to go after them no matter what. We saw it.
Oh,
And Max Scherzer gets 3 years, $130 million, $43.3 million a year, and he blew out Garrett Cole's average annual salary by, I believe, like $7 million. And that's this is what fans thought was going to happen and what owners were scared of happening when really, I just forgot his name now. The owner of the team.
Manfred? Oh.
No, the owner of the Mets.
Cohen.
Yes, when Steve Cohen bought the team, owners were scared he was going to spend money like it was absolutely nothing. Well, because to him, money is nothing. He has $14 billion in his ashtray right now. And fans wanted him to spend it. And, well, he brought out the checkbook.
Yeah.
He honestly brought out the checkbook. Got Logan in the comments here saying, honestly, I just hope the Yankees don't tie up all their money in that shortstop from Houston. Listen, I don't like Correa, especially, he said some things about, Judge. He said some things about the God himself, Derek Jeter.
I was going to say, he's the one that said something about Jeter, right?
Yeah.
He can't go to the Yankees then.
Oh, no, he can.
No, you can't. You can't have
the
him.
Guy is good, but not $300 million good. Let me give you a hint here, Logan.
I don't think anyone is $300 million good.
But here's the thing. He's $300 million good because Corey Seager got $325. And Correa is very, very, very easily better than Seager.
Yes, I would agree with that. But is anyone really $300 million good?
Listen, Michael, nobody should be making this money to play baseball or making $40 million to play basketball either. But hey, we're here.
But they are. So, yeah, kudos to them.
But that's the craziest part is that Scherzer, and it was very smart. It was very smart because, the thing, Max doesn't want to play on the East Coast. He wants to stay on the West Coast. That's always been a thing with him, right? And you know that he's one of the heads of like the Players Association, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Steve Cohen goes to him and says, yeah, $43 million. Don't care. And Garrett Cole's, I think Garrett Cole makes 38. So they skipped over 39, 40, 41, 42, and half of 43, basically. So here's the thing, Michael. He's one of the heads of the Players Association. He can't say no.
Right.
Because then you're turning down a contract where you're making more money because nobody was offering him $43 million a year. Nobody. Only the Mets are doing that because, first of all, they have to improve their team, like we said. He's the only person that can do that. And guess what? He's literally not allowed. He can't say no. He's in the Players Association. So it was kind of brilliant, honestly.
It really was. I hate, and I might be kind of going away from here, but I hated that Strawman didn't sign back with him. Yeah. I was hoping that he would still be a Met. Like, I think fans are into the Mets.
Oh. No,
if you're not
hates Stroman in New York.
Really? Okay.
Maybe
it's just
his Twitter, like it's funny. Like when people heard that he signed with the Cubs, like everybody would just send screenshots of like them being blocked by Stroman. He's kind of soft. He's soft.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, never mind then. But let me ask you this real quick while we're kind of in that little domain of what we're talking about, where we got the Texas, what all they've done, the Mets, what they've done, and so far. Who's so far had the best offseason, or the only offseason that we may have? Like what team, not player, but team that you think, wow, okay, this team has moved themselves into a position, or you're just happy with what they've done?
I think it's the Mets. I said that I said that last off season too when they got Lindor and they did all their things. But here's the thing: the Rangers spent an unbelievable amount of money, have the best infield or middle two infielders in baseball now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their pitching is terrible.
Right.
Michael, can you name me anybody on their pitching staff?
I can't name you two people on the Rangers team other than the two that have just signed right now. That's how bad they were last year.
They're terrible. So listen, Simeon and Seeger, we'll probably win them some games because I'm sure that they'll get hot at one point. Hit a walk-off home run that maybe somebody on the team last year couldn't. They're still going to be bad.
Right.
Like they even with them, they're probably going to win 70 games. Okay. So it doesn't really matter. But the Mets, they fixed a lot of holes.
Mm-hmm. The team that I'm interested in watching to see how they play next year, because they started coming on to after the All-Star break, is I'm actually kind of watching the Tigers this year. I hate to say it out loud, but I'm into them. I liked what they've done. Baez, I hate him because he used to be a Cub, but the energy that he brings, it's going to be nice. This young core that they had last year, they've been in some names of maybe able to pull some of these free agents still. You hear a lot of Detroit talk, so I'm sitting back with some popcorn watching them right now thinking, could the Tigers be the team that comes out of nowhere next year?
I mean, it's possible. They signed Eduardo Rodriguez to kind of kick off free agency. Mm-hmm. They traded for your boy from the Reds.
Mm-hmm.
They signed Baez. I feel like they did something else as well, but I honestly cannot remember what it was. So listen, it's possible. It's definitely possible. I don't know how good they're going to be, but I would assume with the things that they've done, they would be better than last year. So,
all right.
And then
see if I can pull up on them.
But like for the Mets, I mean, you signed Schrozer. You have probably the greatest 1-2 in MLB history. I mean,
absolutely.
DeGrom and Schrozer are first ballot Hall of Famers. I think there's like 7 Cy Young awards between the two of them, or 7 or 6. The All-Star appearances, MLB All First Team, whatever you want to say. So if both of them stay healthy, I mean, those are easy wins in their 2 games. They go out and they sign Starling Marte, who was one of the bigger, free agent names this offseason to play center field now. That's going to help the production out there. And come on, there was somebody else that they signed. Why can't I find it now? I just saw it. Oh, no. Where did it go? I'm going to have to try and find it. But they've done some other things. Oh, Eduardo Escobar, that's who it was. Yeah. He can kind of play a lot of the infield positions. So they improved themselves. And you would hope that Lindor isn't going to play like he did last year, because that was definitely not what they traded for. You hope Pete Alonso has a solid season.
Yep.
They're going to get better play from their catching spot, which has been a problem for God knows how long. And then, like I said, you have DeGrom and Schrozer at the top, which makes it very difficult. Like, Michael, who in a playoff series is going to sit there and say, give us the Mets? Right. No, why would you want to face Schrozer in a playoffs game ever?
No. Yeah. And I want to go back to last year when we first talked about this. Like, everyone was jumping ship with the Mets, and I always said give them 3 years. And I think this is moving them right closer to that 3-year mark. Like, I still am hesitant about next year just because it's all new. Everyone's got to put it together. Look at the Lakers, how they've been this year. You got to get at the job just a little bit. Baseball's a little bit different. I think they could jump it this year with the moves that they made.
Baseball's the most individual team sport of all time.
Oh yeah,
like you can literally do whatever you want and be yourself, and be fantastic and does nothing for your team.
Oh, absolutely. And DeGrom was hurt probably 2/3 of the year, off and on. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you could have him all for 162 games, whatever games he pitches out of that, I'm not saying obviously he's a pitcher. And you get those 2 1A, 1B ace, I mean, that's automatically going to put you in the top of that division, even with the World Series defending champions, the Braves in there, I think.
Yeah, they're fun. And then, just rounding out the free agency stuff, Robbie Ray obviously goes from the Blue Jays to the Seattle Mariners, another team that I didn't expect them to spend much money. But
No,
Robbie Ray, obviously coming off of a Cy Young winning year, 5 years, 115 million, 23 mil a year. I thought he would get more. I did. I know it's
thought he'd get
23
more.
million, so like whatever. But he just came off of a Cy Young year, so I was expecting the number to be a little bit higher. But hey, I told you, Michael, it was going to happen. The Blue Jays are going to lose some people. Now, they did replace him,
Yes.
sort of, because they get Kevin Gausman from the Giants on a 5-year, $110, $22 million year. Now, see, here's the thing, too. Like, that's only $5 million more for the same amount of years than Robbie Ray.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering, because listen, when you get into the 110s, 115 mark, what's $5 million? You know, like honestly. So I wonder if they think like, listen, Robbie Ray, that was his outlier year. That ain't happening again.
I mean, compared to his ERA 2 years ago, it'd be hard to pay a man that. I mean, it's every show that I've ever talked good about Trevor Bauer, you've always said it was a 1-year wonder. He's always talked about how bad he was before. So how are you going to pay that much to him? So Robbie Ray, go approve it. I think he's a good pitcher. I wouldn't want to pay him top dollar. So I think the Blue Jays did fine here. You lost the guy. You saved $5 million. You replaced him already.
Yeah, and I mean the analytic nerds, apparently. I mean, you look at who they've lost and who they've gained. I guess the combined WAR of Robbie Ray and Simeon was like 12 or something. Because I think Simeon's WAR itself was 7. So I guess they've still technically gotten worse because they haven't replaced the WAR that they lost.
Right.
But listen, I don't like analytics, so I really don't even know what the hell that means. And then, like you said, Marcus Stroman from the Mets to the Cubs, 3 years, 71 million, 23 a year. Yeah. I mean, I think we were here when Justin Verlander got the 2 years, 50 million. I still can't believe that happened. Steven Matz goes from Toronto to St. Louis. That was a fun little thing because Cohen was very, very upset with Steven Matz and his agent, tweeting out viciously, like, oh, so much for, being a man of your word and things like that. Yeah, calm down, buddy. But yeah, free agency. It's all over because nobody can be signed anyway right now.
What breaks my heart is and I know I'm not going to say these names right, so just bear with me, is the Descalfani. There we go. He used to be a Red. I'm happy that he's having a good year. He never could get it together as a starting pitcher for us. He was hurt a few times, come back and hurt, and just couldn't keep it together for a full season. Glad he got some pay dirt. And even Iglesias there, who used to be our closer 2 years out, and he blew a lot of saves for us, so I was fine letting him go. But yet he also got some green going on now. He put a good season together for the Angels, and I think it's a great re-sign for him with the Angels as well. The Angels are very close.
And they were in on Schrozer as well. That was the thing. The Mets didn't beat out the Dodgers to re-sign. They beat out the Angels to sign him. So they know that they need pitching. We said it before that every single one of their draft picks was a pitcher. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. Every single one. So
I think the Angels have realized that you've got Trout and you got Ohtani right now. If you do not go all in now, what is the point of even having a team? So I think this offseason, once that it comes back, I think they're going to make as much noise as they possibly can.
And the big thing with Ohtani too is he said, like, I just want to win. So, like, does that mean, hey, if we're not winning, I'm not staying after his contract is over? So it's like, yeah, we'll find out.
You better keep him happy as much as you can.
Yeah, to say the least. All right, Michael, do you want to get depressed?
I'm already depressed, man. We didn't even talk about the Reds because they didn't do a thing.
Listen, my Yankees didn't do anything either. You're not alone here.
But look, that says to Michael John Calipari. Just throwing that out there.
Wow.
All he said he's going to come on the show soon.
Oh, yeah? I think I need to see that message.
Yeah, I deleted it.
Well, as of Wednesday, December 1st at 11:59, the players have been locked out. We are currently in a lockout of the MLB. If you go to anything involving baseball, you will not see anything. You will see just wonderful silhouettes of the players. You go look on MLB.com. You go look at, even team sites aren't allowed to use it because in the collective bargaining agreement, there is an NIL license, which is obviously name, image, and likeness. So without an agreement, you can't use them. So they can't show highlights. They can't use their pictures. It's an interesting time, and of course, it's the back and forth, and the bad thing is that it looks like it's going to be a while because they hate each other. They do not like the players. Don't like the owners. The owners think that the players are whatever. And then I didn't even think about this, but like you said, I was listening to the K Show today. Wonderful program, and it's there's a third thing that people don't think about. It's the owners against the owners too, because the owners, the Steinbrenner family, who obviously owns the Yankees, the people that own the Dodgers, Steve Cohen with the Mets. Listen, I'll give you a hint here. They want things that are very, very different than people that own the Royals and the A's and the Rays and all the smaller teams. So they want things that are very different. So it's owners and players and owners and owners, and it's going to get ugly. And I don't know how long it's going to last. Obviously, none of us do until they come to an agreement. But just listening to stuff today, Buster Olney, on radio was saying that he talked to an agent and he sent a card to his players wishing them a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Valentine's Day, a Happy Easter.
Oh, wow.
And all of that because, some people don't think this is going to be over until June.
Really?
Like, it's that bad. It's not, but like, this is not a situation where, there are a couple things apart and they're just doing a lockout just because. First of all, you don't lock out just because. It's usually your last resort, obviously. And there hasn't been a lockout since 94, 95, I want to say.
In the 90s, somewhere in there. I was thinking there was 199, but who knows. What really irritated me.
There was a player strike in the 90s as well.
Okay. What really irritated me, what I've heard about all this, and I've not kept up a lot. COVID, I've basically kept my nose down watching TV, and that's about it. But sometimes I look at my phone and I do see some things. But when I seen that they met for only 7 minutes, that kind of ticked me off a little bit. I was like, wow, like why even drive to wherever you're going to set up for that meeting? Like, you probably wasted more time walking to the meeting than you did in that meeting. 7 minutes basically just says, you know what, we know we're different. We're not even going to try, so let's just go ahead and lock out until everyone gets like through the holidays, basically, and then we'll pick this back up. Like, I just felt like that was a big disgrace to the fans, the players. I mean, everyone. I'm not just saying the owners because I know everyone's got their own thoughts what's going on here. But sorry, I picked up a highlighter. I guess I should put that down. But like to meet for 7 minutes just basically told me that they did not care right now. You?
I mean, that's the thing. You look at the statement from Rob Manfred and the MLB side of things where it's, we didn't feel like that the other side had any type of urgency. So this was the last resort. We had to lock them out, so there was some sense of urgency. And then you have all the players saying, oh, look at the MLB trying to make us the bad guys. Of course, we're the bad guys. It's never them and this, that.
Right.
And that's just the animosity. Like I said, and I heard this from Buster Olney too. You look at the other – well, first of all, he said this, that in all of his years covering baseball, he's never seen two sides, in baseball dislike each other more, ever. And then the other thing, too, is like you look at other sports leagues and people always say like, oh, yeah, the Players Association and the owners will bounce, ideas off each other and, communication. The MLB doesn't do that. Like I said, they hate each other. Like, that's not an exaggeration. They do not like communicating and being involved with each other. And that's the thing too. That's weird is everybody knew this was coming. Jeff Passan retweeted today. He wrote an article 5 years ago when the old collective bargaining agreement was agreed to that this was going to happen because the players got destroyed in the last CBA. Like they did awful. Like after the CBA was signed at the last one, he said that people immediately called him and were like, the players got screwed. I don't know what they were doing. So people knew that this was coming for years.
Right.
And I think my thing is like, how do you know that this is coming and never have talks during the situation?
Right. I mean, because, I even think from a little bit of what's backed up from just this season alone, you had the Manfred basically saying we're taking away all foreign objects, mid-season, no matter what we're checking, we're doing this. And, of course, now, which has been broken out, is that they've used 2 different baseballs all season long.
Yeah.
And nobody knew anything about that. So you've got all these things that are not being negotiated or even discussed. I'll say that word better for the situation. And like the players, I mean, how could you feel like your opinion matters anyways? Like, you've practiced all preseason, all spring training long as a pitcher with substance that has never been frowned upon before in MLB, even though it's an unwritten rule about what you can and can't. Well, I mean, it's a written rule, but as far as using it. But now, you've got these pitchers that train for that. Then you have these injuries that happen because of that. Now, I want to know if some of these other injuries, like the DeGroms and his forearms and different things going on, even our guy, TJ Antone, who had to have Tommy John surgery again, could this been because of a different ball that they were not training with, was a little bit heavier, carried more or lighter, whichever one? Like, I mean, that's going to be something different that you're not used to with your mechanism that's going on.
Here's the thing, too, that I didn't even think about until I saw a tweet, not involving the different baseballs with this lockout. Players can't meet with trainers. So the people that have been helping them with their rehab, through the off season, and the people that would help them throughout their off season rehab, they can't talk to them.
Right.
Like they literally cannot talk to them. So how much does that affect players too now, where, they have to go to outside, doctors and do this and that, and it's just a bad situation. And I read up on some stuff, and I basically have both sides of the story, I would like to say, Michael.
There we go.
So I'll read it to you. All right. So players feel with the emergence of analytics within front offices that fewer and fewer second and third tier players are getting paid when they finally become a free agent after 6 years of major league service time, which is often when a player turns 30 or very close to it. In general, players like to be paid more at younger ages because that's when they are in their prime. The system also favors keeping players in the minors for several weeks extra to slow down their major league service time. Players hate that. Additionally, they feel the cycle of teams rebuilding, aka tanking, is limiting payrolls. So the players, and here's the thing too, some people are scared to take sides and this, that. Big fan of the players. First of all, I'll stick with them over the annoying billionaire owners half the time anyway.
Right.
But I just feel like I agree with the stuff that they say too. I was on the show, weeks ago saying I hate tanking, and they want to get rid of it because, Michael, and I don't know if you read the chat when I said it, but act surprised if you did, and I'll tell the audience too. Ready? So once again, shout out Michael K. I'm going to get him on the show one of these days. I promise you. Because I'm thinking about it, Michael. You ever see those corny videos where somebody, posted on Twitter and they tag him and they create a hashtag like "Get Michael K on the show"? I think I'm going to do it. I think I have to.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, carry on.
I talk about him way too much to not have him on the show. But with that being said, so Michael, you're a fan of the Reds, and we always get into the back and forth conversation of small market teams can't compete and this, that, and third, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, so third or fourth.
I don't know why. Like, that's a saying, Michael. I don't get it.
Carry on.
Anyway, so revenue sharing is, the top teams, their revenue gets shared with other teams and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes this is like $40 to $70 million for a team. And these low market teams are taking it and keeping it for revenue. Like, the whole point of the revenue sharing is so that they can put it back into their team and, get some players and, then they'll be able to keep, they'll be able to compete with the big bad, big market teams, but they don't. They just keep the money for profit and then they don't do anything with it. And that's why I agree with it, because here's like, they want to, so baseball players want a salary floor, because I think right now the Orioles have like a $40 million payroll. As an organization, their MLB team is making $40 million. Listen, bro. And you can argue small market team with me, and I argue, well, first of all, Baltimore's not a small market anyway. But there's players in every single sport that make more money than the Orioles payroll right now. The Pirates have like a $35 million payroll, things like, so they're not even trying. Like, they are not even attempting to be good. And that's the thing that annoys me. Like, how do you go into a season and listen, they got no problem charging their fans the exact same amount of money for tickets and stuff like that. But they're going into seasons knowing they're going to lose, and they just don't sign anybody, and then they take the revenue of the bigger teams and then just keep it for profit. But then you got to hear like, oh, small market team this and small market team that. They're giving you money and you're not using it in the way that it's literally proposed to be used in.
And yeah, I mean, that's definitely a problem. And, even what you was reading about the developmental of the players too, I never even thought like some of these teams could be holding players back in their minor leagues.
You remember Chris Bryant?
Just because, well, right, because they didn't start him in the season, so they didn't have to pay him millions and they could keep him on a minor league contract. Understand that's a system. I don't like it. I disagree with it. But at the same time, like, you could hold, we'll say, Chris Bryant back for 2 years, keep him in the prospect development or even just your farm teams and not be good. Like, I mean, that's another way that you could be tanking, is not just have your best players not on the actual MLB team. You could actually still have them in your farm system. Like, so, but how do you fix that? How are you going to adjust to, like, okay, when you bat a certain percentage, you have to play in the MLB. You can't play. So I don't know how you can actually ever address that to make it change, but that is a situation where I could see you could still tank without tanking.
Well, see, the way that they want to, because here's the thing. I think the tanking and keeping them in the minors is two different things. Like, the tanking,
but it's also a way of tanking too, though.
Oh, no,
because the Reds, like, we've got 3 great prospects right now. Lododo or something like that. I can't remember. He's a great pitcher. Hunter Green, another good pitcher, and then there's a third baseman, I think, that are all ready to make that leap. We never once brought them up, to my knowledge, last year to pitch any when we were sucking. Usually that's when you bring them up. Okay, they got some experience, they're on the roster, all this stuff. Like, why didn't we bring them guys on up? Like, are we trying to keep them on down? Because we're selling everything out right now, and I can't stand it. Like, the Reds were a good team. We were a piece or two away from being an even better team, and with our prospects coming up with our aces, we look like we were in a spot to move, but our front office is so jacked up it's not even funny right now. But anyways, so I don't know, like, are we going to keep them as a prospect another year or two, and just kind of keep being bad until we can blitz it all at once? Like, I don't like that. I want to be relevant now.
And that's the thing too, like, that's why I don't like tanking, because baseball is a different sport than all the other ones, in the fact that you're in the minors for like 3 or 4 years. So the Orioles have lost 100 games 4 years in a row, and they're not even close to being good. They have one good player on their team, and it's Cedric Mullins. Right. Trey Mancini is a great story. He's an all-right player. He's an all-right player.
Right.
They have Cedric Mullins, and that's about it. And they've lost 100 games 4 years in a row. Oh, but and that's the thing. They kind of, I mean, I don't know if I've heard it as like an official thing, but the idea floated around of, after a certain amount of years of losing so many games in a row, a certain draft pick gets taken out of circulation. So maybe after your 4th year of losing, this many games or whatever, you're not allowed a top 10 pick.
Wouldn't they still be losing those games though?
Yeah, but maybe. But here's the thing: if after say you lose the 100 games 4 years in a row or whatever, and now you can't get a number
take them out of the revenue. Don't let them have that revenue instead of giving them a draft pick. Let them still try to get the picks.
Michael.
Hey, you heard a bill fold, you're going to see a lot of change.
But you see, here's the thing. You know who has to agree to that? The owners. And the minute you say to owners, we're going to take away your money, they're going to punch you right in the throat.
That's true.
So it doesn't matter.
Don't suck.
Oh, you don't got to tell me I hate, but that's why they want the salary floor. Because I've mentioned this all a bunch of times too, Michael, is the mid-level free agent. So from the last CBA negotiation to now, a mid-tier free agent salary went from 11.8 or 11.2 million, somewhere around there, to like 6.8. So that's $5 million that they've dropped, and the whole reason is their mid-tier players are mid for a reason. They're probably not good enough to be on your great teams, and they're not bad enough to be on your tanking teams. So what do they do? What do teams do? You know, if you're tanking right now, right? Am I going to sign a mid-level player, 4 years, 50 million or whatever? Or actually, yeah, no, that's not mid-level. 4 years, 30 million, I'll say, whatever. Am I going to sign him? Or am I going to go sign somebody who I know is bad to, a 2-year contract that's worth $5 million because they're not going to get that money anywhere else? I might as well sign them. And here's my thing, right? How are you a professional team and your payroll is in the 30 millions? At that point, you should sell your team.
I mean, they're definitely. I have to say I like the floor. I like there being a salary floor on there because there's no reason for no team to be under $100 million for a year easily.
Michael, the Cleveland Guardians now, their payroll for 2022 is projected to be $29 million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
$29 million.
When we just talked about, what was it?
Max Scherzer getting 43? Yeah.
Yeah, for the year, right?
The Orioles, 29 million. The Pirates, 36.
That doesn't.
How?
And granted, I will flat out say, guys, I mean, I'm a little bit of a casual getting back into this as far as the contracts and how everything work on that. Excuse me. But, I mean, you have to telling me that you're playing a roster with like first year, 2-3 year players to have something that low. I mean, I don't even see how you could have a contract or a team with 30 million for the year. Do you? I mean, like, how's that even possible? That's why they lose
100 games.
Yeah, because I mean, didn't we look this year mid-season sometime that the Dodgers were over 200 million for their whole salary?
All right, next year the Mets have the highest projected payroll right now. It's 235.
Yeah, so I mean that's $200 million
more.
Yeah, that is stupidly crazy.
Here's what I'm saying. I don't expect every team to go out and spend $200 million a year on their payroll. Because guess what? I still understand the small market teams. Not all of them can do that. But you can't tell me that you're not that tanking isn't bad for baseball, one, and second, that a salary floor is bad when you have a team spending $29 million on a payroll.
That's like, one thing that I've always talked about with football, with college football in Kentucky, we've always been bad for years, and we're good now. But like us playing against Alabama as far as stars, Alabama has probably 10 to 15 5-star recruits every year just as freshmen. When Kentucky hasn't had a 5-star recruit in forever, which we've got one, Justin Rogers, I think a couple years ago. So we've had one. So I'm just going to say 5 stars against 5 stars, though, as we compete. There's no way as far as a performance that we should be able to compete. Like Alabama should be so much better. So when you just take that thought and go into a team that's making $200 million, like that's how much they care about them, against a team that's only going to be making $29 million, there's no way that it should be competitive.
And here's the other thing too, right? Like I said, I understand the small markets and they're not going to be able to spend as much.
Right.
But there is not a team in baseball that is such a small market and has such little money that their payroll should be $29 million.
Here.
And let me give you a hint, and it wouldn't happen anyway. If your payroll is going to be that low and you're that strapped for cash, sell the team. Because the owners, that's another thing they complain about, that they don't have the money that the players think they have or whatever. Mm-hmm. No team in MLB history has ever been sold for a loss of profit.
Right.
So let me tell you something. There's plenty of money to go around. Plenty.
Pittsburgh Pirates right now on Forbes.com is worth $1.285 billion. So, I mean, they're worth $1 billion. There's no reason that you couldn't afford some type of payroll in the hundred millions for the year, correct?
That's like 3% of their payroll, or 3% of their worth, probably.
Actually, this was calculated March 2021. So in March of 2021, excuse me, their revenue was $116 million. Their price paid was $92 million. And Forbes wants to use my location. No. So I'm just looking through this. Revenue per fan, I don't know what that means. It's $15, but yeah. So your revenue is on this team alone is $100 million, $116 million. So there's no reason. Oh, here's operating. It says it here. Oh, nice. It was $21 million that they operated on, and they revenued $116 million. Player expense was $44 million.
That's why I don't feel bad for small markets sometimes. I just don't. I don't get it. Like you
Let's
can't
go to the worst team.
You can't tell me that your payroll should be less than $30 million. Like the salary floor should be like 60. Because I think even a small market team can afford 60. Who
really?
The small market team that we always look at is the Rays, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
All right, fine. Even if you don't want to do the Rays because they've been successful.
Here's the worst team in baseball right now, okay? As far as Forbes, so that's just strictly money is what we're going with on this. Even I got to pop up, is Miami Marlins. They are calculated in March 2021 to be worth $990 million. Their revenue was $96 million. Excuse me. Their player expense was $49 million. It says operation of $55 million.
Okay. Perfect.
So
great. Because guess what? Their payroll is $55 million.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like they're still worth
$25 million more
mm-hmm.
than the Guardians.
Than the Guardians?
Yeah, Cleveland, baby.
Well, I mean, we were talking about Pittsburgh right then, so.
Well, technically the Guardians are the lowest. Like I said, their payroll is $29,050,000.
They are worth team value $1.1 billion. Their revenue was $117 million. And you said according to this, their player expense was $53,000 and $53 million. Their operating income was $20 million. Still.
I think a salary floor does wonders for baseball. Because look, even if you look at a salary floor right now and you put it at 60 million, right? Which I don't think is a crazy number. There's 5 teams under it. And Miami Marlins is one of them. They're only $5 million under it. That's nothing. And the other team under it is the Mariners, and they're at 50. So that's another 10 million they would have to spend. And then, like I said, the Pirates are at 36, the Orioles are at 29, and the Guardians are at 29, which shouldn't even be allowed anyway. So, I don't know.
Sorry, my wife just texted me and said that she was able to taste nacho cheese and chips. But she was disappointed. She said it didn't taste the same. So, glad her taste is coming back. But yeah, I just don't know. That's one of our go-to snacks is just the Mexican cheese and dip.
No, I understand. It's fire. A good time.
It is. But yeah, I just don't know. There has to be some type of floor, and this is coming from a small market team that I think that they all should have to. Now, what's the penalty if they're not?
I would take away their first round draft pick because that's what they want anyway.
I mean, that makes sense that way. But could you do a quick contract negotiation? Oh crap, we're 4,000 or 4 million underneath. Hey Connie, let's give you a 1 year extension, $4 million. There you go.
Listen, I'm sure that would happen, but I'll tell you what, going from 30 million to 60 million, there's no way that you haven't improved your team because you're not. If you have to spend the money, like you have to, you're forced to. Why would you sign bad players with the money? You might as well try and sign somebody that's decent.
I mean, honestly, I'm thinking you're not going to take your roster that you have and just give them that extra money. More than likely, that extra money.
That would be stupid.
You're going to try to get one good player.
Here's the thing. Now that mid-level player can fit into your team where it's, well, he makes too much money. Well, guess what? You have to spend the money anyway, stupid.
Mm-hmm. Don't call me stupid. Ouch.
Well, Michael, I think you are. But, anyway. We'll go to you want to hear what the owners want?
Yes. Oh, yes. Let's hear the second part of this.
Yeah. So the owners want a playoff expansion, and that obviously primarily benefits the teams because they get 100% of TV revenue in the postseason.
Oh.
and the players only get a portion of the gate money, which is obviously much smaller.
The gate money?
That's what it's called, like ticket sales.
Right, I know. That's pitiful.
Like, so they want the playoff expansion. I think they also offered a 154 game season to make up for the playoff expansion. And I think they also offered like a DH in both leagues. But here's the thing. The owners don't really want to change the CBA. Like I said, they killed the players. Right. Like they destroyed them in the last CBA negotiation. So, I mean, what's the point in changing it for them? But they do want the playoff expansion because, well, they're going to make more money doing it. Mm-hmm. And they want to keep –
they want to lower this season?
I think they said they'd make it 154 games instead of the 162. And then – because that would make up for the playoff expansion. I also think that the wild card game would go from a 1-game to a 3-game series, which, by the way, hate it.
Really?
Here's the thing. I love the wild card game because it's a 1-game playoff. And listen, this is coming from a Yankee fan who just lost the last wild card game. So maybe if it's a series, we have a chance. But that's where you get your ratings as a
I like the 1 game. It makes it more like a college atmosphere. Like it's win or go home. Like it's actually something to play for. I like it.
Which everybody loves. Mm-hmm. Well, and when you're a Cowboys fan, it's hard to love. You know what I mean?
Oh, what's the score right now?
I believe it's 13-7.
Are we winning? I don't even know.
Of course you're winning. The Saints don't even have a team right now, Michael.
Let's go. Deal Cowboys.
Rooting for injuries. Typical Cowboy fan. Unbelievable. What a bad guy.
Rooting for an injury?
So you basically were. I said they don't have anybody. You said let's go. And it's because
you said 13-7.
Listen, guys, everybody listening right now, bad guy.
You guys are winning. You said 13-7. They're winning because they have no quarterbacks. And I said, let's go.
I said nobody.
I mean, so I wasn't even listening to what you said after that. I just
everybody on Colorcast, make sure you follow me, not Michael. Michael's a bad guy, clearly.
Okay, but first of all, you're going to act like injury is a problem. Like people aren't excited. Like that's the whole purpose of a defense is to hurt the quarterback, and you celebrate.
No. It's not to hurt the quarterback; it's to tackle him. This is not the Saints of old.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yes, they're the ones that put a
bounty gate, baby.
Yeah. So
Brett Favre was getting murdered out there.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and
bring back to baseball. I guess I should say.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Cowboys will find the way to lose. What a turd,
as they always do. But yeah, the owners don't want that much because, like I said, they did good in the last CBA, so I don't really blame them. I mean. And, here's the other thing, too, and I read this right before we came on. A reason that the players aren't really in love with the playoff expansion is because that means the teams that don't deserve to be in the playoffs, because they probably sold off some pieces and were probably trying to get a better draft. Because listen, at some point in the season, you're not a good team, you start selling off players. Maybe
Right.
now, although they sold off their players, they can still make the playoffs. Now they still get rewarded for trying to be bad, and now they get playoff revenue money. So the players aren't in love with that idea and either. But like I said, it's going to be a long off season. They don't like each other.
We may have something by April.
Here's my thing. And listen, Michael, unless Rob Manfred and the president of the Players Association listens to me, which I don't think they do, unfortunately, because I got some brilliant ideas. It's just stupid for them. Like, I don't understand how both of them can look at each other and not understand how stupid they look. Like, you're going to tell me that a sport in baseball, which everybody always talks about, is the popularity going away? Are the games too long? This, that, we have this problem. There's that problem. We just came off of a shortened season because of COVID. You're telling me you're going to do another shortened season in the middle of all of that because you guys can't agree on what to do?
I mean, really, let's just be honest. The integrity of the game of baseball is at jeopardy right now. Do you agree?
I mean, it's
because just think, I hate Tom Brady, and I'm throwing that out there because of the Deflate Gate. We have now just found out.
By the way, just saying he didn't do it. It was a witch hunt.
We just found out that the main person over the baseball organization had 2 different baseballs. Like, we put somebody in a different sport where we said you have to set out 4 games because you deflated the ball. But
now we have the commissioner
who changes the ball. Like,
Michael, here's the thing too. Ready? I'm not even that mad about the different baseballs. If anybody knew, nobody knew.
That's the thing. Nobody knew.
The players didn't know. The teams didn't know. Nobody knew that there were different baseballs being used.
Yeah, like, if
here's the thing too,
okay, we're trying these out, seeing which one does better, or like, we have these 2 circulated at random, that's fine too. But to just be discreet about it and just say, send them here, we'll send those there, and no one will know, and then now let's just randomly tell them about it right before the lockout. It doesn't make sense.
I guess that their excuse was that, they had baseballs left over from the previous year because, not all of them were used in the COVID year. Listen, you don't got to argue. I'm just telling you. Don't shoot the messenger. But here's the thing too. Like, I love how it came out that send the dead balls to Royals Indians or this, that, but send the ones that will go 500 feet to Yankees, Red Sox, and things like that. You just changed the entire game. I mean, like, who says that with one of the dead balls or whatever you have that the Yankees don't win a wild card game?
Or even now, listen,
do I think that they would? I have not a clue.
But there's the hesitation. There's the doubt now. Like, even just
how do you know?
The Boston and the Houston game, that stellar of home runs. Like, what was it, like 9 runs in the first 3 innings for Boston?
Yeah.
What if those were tainted baseballs? Like, that shouldn't have happened. Granted, the outcome didn't change in the whole series, but a player could have got hurt. A starting pitcher could have been wasted during that game and couldn't have played later on. I just think it's crazy.
Like even this. Here's the thing. Garrett Cole's numbers down the stretch were bad. Now, I attribute a lot of it to the hamstring injury, but I also attribute it to this. The Yankees were playing very, very, very important games late into the year, and some of them nationally televised. I mean, I think the Yankees played a 3-game series against the Red Sox. I think every single game was nationally televised. I think it was ESPN, Fox, and then ESPN again. So they probably sent the better baseballs to those games. So how do you know now that oh, was my pitcher bad, or did he have the high flying baseballs that game because it was nationally televised and it was kind of important?
Mhm.
You have
Even
no
Bueller.
idea what happened now.
Bueller, who was the Cy Young candidate at the, I'd say probably, I don't know, with 30
Halfway
days
point of the
left.
season.
Yeah, like, I mean, almost with the end of the season, Bueller was probably the standalone guy there. And then he got rocked a few times on some big games. What if those balls conflicted to his performance and it cost him a Cy Young? We don't know. But those questions now can be had because the integrity of our baseball sport is at jeopardy.
It's just a bad time. I mean, you have the classic millionaire billionaire standoff where the players, oh, you're making more money than you're actually showing us, and then the owners are like, oh no, we don't have any money, and if things are so bad for you guys, then how come you're getting $40 million contracts? And then the players come back and say, well, yeah, if you can give us a $40 million contract, then what do you mean you have no money? It's just a back and forth of he said this, oh yeah, well, but he said that. And it's just not a good look for a sport that isn't on the level where this can happen. Listen, if there's a lockout in the NFL, nobody cares. You want to know why nobody cares? Because they know that it's coming back, because they know it's not going to affect anything, because we eat football like it's nothing. Ratings are up like 17% this year from last year.
Really? Do you think it's because there's not so many games?
I just wrote an article about it for my journalism class.
Do you think it's because there's only 16 to 17 games?
Oh, absolutely. No. I think in the NFL, listen, am I more – it's like this, Michael. If you know for a fact that you're going to eat 3 meals a day, are you really going to savor it more than if you know that you're only going to get one a day?
I mean, absolutely. Look at me. I'm fat. So,
and that's exactly, and that's what the NFL is. We get your favorite team or whatever. I mean, listen, I don't even watch football just for my favorite team. I think it's the only sport where I can watch it and my favorite teams aren't playing. Basketball too, actually. I lied. But your favorite team is playing one time a week. Mm-hmm. In baseball, your favorite team can go on a 10-game streak in a row of playing games. So there's definitely the thing of, well, do I really have to watch this game? Or, maybe I'll go out with my friends this night because I can just watch a game tomorrow. In the NFL, it's like, well, no, I can't leave. It's NFL Sunday. It's literally called NFL Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So baseball is not in the position to start, screwing fans over. Take a look in the mirror.
Yeah, honestly,
I usually do, and I look fantastic.
I mean, our funnest season that we've had in a long time in baseball was the shortened season. I think the 60-game season was very entertaining.
It definitely makes things more interesting when there's less games. I mean, no matter the sport.
Every game matters so much more.
Every game matters a lot more. It would be like if the NFL had a lockout and instead of 17 games, now there was only 12. Well, you better not get off to that 0-2 start. Mm-hmm. And it was the same thing with baseball with the 60-game season. There were some teams that got off to, a poor start, and over the course of 150 or 162 games, you can recover. Right. But you got 60 games this year. Guess what? You can't. But I don't know, Michael. I don't know. Buckle in, people, because we're here for a long, long ride with the baseball offseason. That's all I got to say.
We'll have to come up with some really good content for the near future because this might get a little dark for baseball.
Michael, might have to throw out some baseball trivia some of these days. Get some guests on, which, by the way, we were supposed to have a guest today.
Yes.
Some things fell through. Listen, it happens. People are busy out here, you feel? But it's going to happen, We
won't say the names, but I will say this. The gentleman actually works with a news company as well, does some camera work and stuff from them. He said he'd been there since 8 o'clock this morning and was still there. So it's been a busy day. He's got to be back at 4 a.m. in the morning. So I understand, man. We'll get you on soon, though.
Exactly. We're going to survive. We are going to survive. Get some guests on, have some fun as we always do.
Can the players do shows?
I would assume. I think. I
Because
I I mean, I would
I
assume. Why
actually,
not?
well, I mean, you can't really probably say, well, I don't know. You can't say Cincinnati Reds, Joey Votto, because that's using names of they're locked out right now on that. But I'm sure we
Listen,
could
if the
say, hey, we've
MLB
got
wants,
a
listen, Michael, if the MLB wants to sue a little podcast like us, you know what? I'm all for it.
let's
I'm all for
go.
it. You know what? I'm ready. I've been watching plenty of Succession on HBO. I think I
Hmm.
can do it. I
There
could
we
be the
go.
CEO of a company. I can do
There
it.
you go. Yes. Okay. Sounds great. Sounds great.
Sounds fantastic. All right, Michael. Are you all good? I'm all good.
I'm good. I think I did okay. I coughed about 25,000 times, but I was able to mute the mic
It was
on a few.
repulsive, Michael. I had to stare at you cough. Ugh. Just kidding. I hope you're better, Michael. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You and your petri dish of a house.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I worry about you. Like I said, something happens to you 45 minutes for the ambulance to get there, knowing you're, middle of nowhere Kentucky self.
Literally, no lie. I went to the ER over COVID because I did the infusion where you get the antibodies and all that stuff. And I ran a temperature of 101 to 105 for 24 hours with medicine. And instead of going to my hometown ER, I actually just went to the next county over, which was a 2-hour drive. And
Jesus
they didn't even
Christ.
keep me. It was quite funny. I walked through the hospital. I'm like, I have COVID. Like, I need to talk to somebody. Like, oh, get outside. And then they're like, oh, so why are you here? I said, well, I had an infusion yesterday and I ran a temperature of 105 with medicine, not 100.5, but 105 with Tylenol and everything. And they're like, oh, okay. So they did some IVs through me, and 2 hours later they said, you're fine. Go on. I'm like, okay. So
That sounds fun.
luckily it was at night, and my wife actually stayed in a hotel to make sure I was okay, because she was actually going to drive back home across the mountain 2 hours away, because we knew that they would admit me. But no, they didn't even admit me. So that was almost
corn.
odd
What a time.
day. Corn? What?
Kentucky. That's all I think of.
Like, corn would be Iowa.
I know, but listen, Iowa, Kentucky, all you flat people,
Nope. I live in the mountains. It's not flat here.
Well,
Actually,
listen, that's what I picture.
The mountain right there is the tallest mountain in Kentucky, but it's okay.
Listen, as long as you have a cowboy hat on, you're fine.
I do not have a cowboy hat, but I do have a cow.
That's more down south. I don't know. You're all redneck.
Don't you live near a farm? Didn't you say you live near a farm?
Michael, there's farms everywhere.
So
In
you
the
are
world,
more
I
farm
mean.
boy than I am.
Not even a little bit. Michael, you just said you have to drive 45 minutes to a hospital, or 2 hours over to the next county. I could be at 5 different hospitals in 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I live in a poverty area, okay? Leave me alone, man.
Shut up. All right, guys.
I mean, it's true. Some of you guys making these contracts, man. Send over some money.
No, you know what? Listen, I could use some too, Listen, Max, you don't need $43 million. You made enough money in your career, okay?
Just give me $1 million over the lifespan of a year, and we're good. Yes, I said it that way.
Lifespan of a year. Bold statement right there. All right. Well, Michael, why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
As you guys can see, the ones that are watching this live stream, MDLawson00 is my Twitter handle, also my Instagram, TikTok as well. I have a show on Saturdays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It is Count the Bucket with my co-host Nick. We will also be going through the color cast as well. And then for you guys that are watching us face to face right now, check us out on Colorcast. It's our names with USN. You can't do the searching yet, but right now we'll just be doing a lot of the open mics until we can get our shows programmed into it and be going live with that as well. So go to Colorcast as well, download the app, and look for us all on there. Everyone that's with Unwrapped Sports will have the USN at the end of our name.
Yes, sir. As for me, Anthony Conover _ over there on Twitter as well. Mondays, Generational Sports with me and my boy Josh, talking a little bit about everything as we usually do. Tuesdays I do the hard count with me and CJ, talk everything in the NFL world, breaking down everything. And then, of course, as you can tell, me and Michael do this Thursdays at 9 Eastern every Thursday, breaking down the
Every
baseball
Thursday.
world and, being your therapist during this hard lockout time, people.
Yes.
But with that being said, you can follow me, Anthony Conover _ on Twitter. Like I said, Gen Z Sports for the pod as well. Check us out, like Michael said, on Colorcast. If you're not following over there on Colorcast, by the way, and you're listening right now, feel free to drop a follow. I'm not gonna be mad if you drop a little follow on the kid. So thank you everybody for showing out.
When do you think lockout's over? I'm going to go with May.
I'm going optimistic, middle of March.
Okay, I'm going 1st of May.
I'm gonna go middle of March, and hope that the NFL, that the MLB aren't as stupid as everybody says. And listen, Michael, I'm way better than you. But that the MLB isn't as stupid as everybody thinks, and they fix this.
I hope not.
They go middle of March. Middle of March, they have an expressed 2-week, or 2 to 3 week. Now
dead period where they
2-week period of free agency, and then they're gonna have to push back the season a little bit too, which is the bad part. So we'll find out. Great show. The MLB is crazy right now. Thank you, my brother.
Thanks, Dev. We appreciate that. But I'm going to back up a little bit and say May is when they're going to be playing games. I think it'll end in April, but we'll have games in May.
Well, Michael, it seems like this. Either way, what me and you just said, we're missing some games in the regular season. So let's hope it doesn't get to that point, because like I said, the only thing it does when that happens is screw the fans over. And I thoroughly enjoy baseball. So I would like to be able to go to take myself down to Yankee Stadium, spend $35 on a hot dog. Why not? But yet you guys have no money. Although I'm not mad about it. It's not actually $35, Michael. Don't worry.
Listen, I can go to a Reds game, buy a ticket for $5, go down the right field line, foul pole, third level, and get a $1 hot dog.
Yeah, I couldn't do that if you paid me the $1.
Really? Why?
First of all, a ticket to get in, sit all the way up top is probably at least $15.
No, you can get actually $15 seats. You can sit in the outfield.
I'm talking about Yankee Stadium here, Michael.
I know.
And then
Met fan, man.
Michael, it's New York. It doesn't matter.
It's true.
And then, of course, there's a bucket of chicken you can buy, right? Where you get like a free large Pepsi product or whatever. That's like it. And now, don't get me wrong, it is a bucket. Still should not be the price of $20.
Gotcha.
It's like a bucket filled with fries, and then I think there's like 7 chicken tenders in it. $20 though. Okay.
I mean, everything is outrageous at the games. Let's be honest. But one time, my wife and I, before we had kids, we used to go to at least one game a year, and we'd sit behind home plate one time. I think we spent $200 on our tickets, and it was
if I wanted to sit behind home plate, I would have. It's $1,500.
Golly, that's crazy. That's not happening.
Yeah, no. Unless somebody wants to give me a loan.
Yeah.
All right, Michael. You all good? I'm all good.
I'm good. I am good.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode. Like I said, we'll be back next Thursday, so don't miss us too much. As Michael, I could feel that through the screen. It disgusted me.
Thank you.
We will see everybody next week, and thank you, everybody,